Alright, welcome back everybody to the second of 3 videos where we're crashing cars in GTA 5 to help you understand Newton's laws of motion. Right? Fun. Why not? So the first video we did was on inertia. If you haven't seen it yet, stop this video, go back, check it out. It's short, we have some accidents, it's fun. This video, we're going to be talking about the second Newton's law of motion, which deals with force. And getting right into it, the second law officially reads as the acceleration of an object depends on the mass of the object and the amount of force applied. This otherwise known as F equals ma, force equals mass times acceleration. So just like an acceleration depends on the mass and the force applied, the force coincidentally could rely on the mass and the acceleration. And so we're going to illustrate that again using car crashes and GTA 5. So the first thing we're going to do, obviously, is steal a truck. Because the truck is probably the biggest thing you can get in the game, where you can see that it is huge, right? It has a huge engine, which is needed to accelerate that huge mass of the truck. The mass is big, the truck is big, has a large mass, so it needs a large engine, which is what applies force to the truck to get it moving and to accelerate it, right? Much more force, a much bigger engine than, let's say, a motorcycle or a sports car. So another way to illustrate the point of force is dependent on mass and acceleration, or acceleration is dependent on mass and force, is crashing cars. We run this truck into smaller cars, and guess what? The truck will win every time, obviously, because it's a lot bigger, right? That's all we know. It weighs a lot more, it has a lot more mass, and so for the same acceleration that it's providing, it has a lot more force going into it. Right? This is also momentum, and this also deals with the third law, which we'll get in the next video. But in essence, it's another way of looking at it. So let's now move all the way on and look for something smaller to help illustrate this point, right? We saw big truck, big engine, a lot of force to get that acceleration. How about a smaller car? So it took me a long time. I was really looking for a motorcycle in this one because that seems like the most polar opposite thing you could find from a truck. Couldn't find one, no idea why, but did find a sports car. So let's go steal a sports car, illustrate how a smaller car with a lot less mass needs a lot less force required to move it with that same acceleration. Now, a sports car, you can see immediately that the engine is a fraction of the size of that of the truck, but it's going to accelerate a lot faster, which means it needs a lot less force applied because it has a lot lower mass. The car has a lot lower mass than the truck, so it needs a lot less force, smaller engine, to get that same and better acceleration. Not to belabor the point, but the same concept applies not just to cars but to planes, right? We can steal a business jet, and we can see that it's a fairly small plane, has 2 small engines, but we can get the business jet and take off pretty quickly, pretty easily, because the engines will apply a force to the smaller mass to accelerate the business jet to take off and fly. And that's really how flight works. And also, if you don't know how planes fly, go check out one of my previous videos where we use Warzone to show how a parachute or a plane can fly. All right, little plug. So next, let's skip this business jet and go get a much bigger plane. So a bigger plane would be a 747. This has 4 engines, as we can see, right? And it's huge compared to the business jet. We can see that on the little left. It is massive. And so these 4 engines are so much bigger, they require this plane, because it has a lot more mass, requires a lot more force to accelerate and take off. And that is Newton's second law of motion, right? It states that the acceleration of an object is dependent on the mass of that object and the amount of force applied. We saw that with cars, we saw that with planes, from stopping to going to crashing into each other. Whatever it is, Newton's second law is just simply force. As always, thank you for watching. If you liked it, hit the subscribe, hit the like. Stay tuned for the next one, where we're going to be talking about Newton's third law of motion, action and reaction. Until then, goodbye.